Asana Sana Strength. And this evening, our class will go over strengthening our legs. So there's often classes that will go over strengthening the booty, strengthening the core, maybe even the arms. But this one, we're going to focus primarily on building up those leg muscles, because it's great to have all the strong muscles in your booty and your core, but if you can't keep your legs going, what's the point, right? So let's find ourselves seated here on the mat to get started. Let's get ourselves nice and comfortable here. Let's come into crisscross applesauce, and as always, switch your legs around so we're keeping our alignment nice and even. Let's spread the muscles of our sits bones aside as we come into seated and easy seat here in Sukhasana. And before we get started, let's check on our alignment quickly. Let's just make sure we're sitting with ourselves facing back here, not all the way forward, not all the way back. We want to make sure that we keep our pelvis in a neutral tilt, keeping our ribs centered over our hip bones as well. Let's roll our shoulders up and down, coming down the back, keeping our ribs tucked in here so that they're nice and over beneath the pelvis, keeping our ears located over our shoulders, keeping our chin looking forward at a nice parallel to the floor. Let's just take a deep breath in through the mouth, in through the nose, and out through the mouth. Using this moment here to settle down into class. And lastly, before we start our intendings and groundings, let's just pretend like someone has pulled a string up from the top of our head here to make sure that we're sitting up and we're in good alignment. Closing our eyes if we need to. Grounding ourselves into this class. Let's just take a brief moment here to shut out the noise of the day, to get ourselves connected to our body once more, as we'll be using it to flow into yoga. Excellent. While we're grounding here, let's take a moment to set some intentions for this class. Let's see. For myself, I'll share my intentions. I want to lead you all through an invigorating flow that targets the leg muscles, all while calming and bringing ourselves back to our center, to our peace with yoga. So, take a couple more deep breaths here. Let's find ourselves centering, grounding, readying the mind to use our body, working together in tandem. Excellent. From here, let's begin warming up. Let's start with our neck. Just gentle. Let's start to shake our head no gently, starting small. With time, you'll be able to widen out those head shakes. But let's just warm up those muscles. Allow those neck muscles to slowly loosen, letting yourself turn a little bit wider, maybe looking over the shoulder, beginning to look past the shoulder a little bit here as we begin to warm up that neck. And if you're anything like me, go ahead and do that with your eyes closed. Motion sickness is never fun. Excellent. Let's slow ourselves down to stillness and begin to nod the head. Yes. Again, starting small. Letting each subsequent nod get a little bit larger, a little bit bigger. Excellent. Delightful. Let's slow ourselves down, coming right back into stillness here. Let's begin to rotate the head around. Rotating either way, right or left. Sending our face into a circle. Excellent. Slow that down. Come back to the other direction. Opening the face. Warming up the neck muscles. Coming into a larger circle with a little bit more repetitions. Easing our way into it. We don't want to pulling muscles in our neck. Excellent. Slow ourselves down, coming back here into the center. And let's inhale our arms out to a T, dropping that left arm at a 45-degree angle. Let's drop our right ear to our right shoulder and use that right arm here, that right palm, to go ahead and stretch out the muscles of the neck using that palm as a counterweight. Breathing into the stretch, allowing that neck to open up. Excellent. Let's inhale, bringing that head back up to center, turning our face over to the right side, dropping that chin, using that hand this time again once more as a counterweight. Stretching out that neck. Excellent. Inhale, bringing that head up to center once more. Let's bring our arms back to a T, bringing our face to center. Let's take a deep inhale with an exhale. Drop that head over to the left this time, using our left arm as a counterbalance to stretch out the muscles, bringing that right arm to a 45-degree angle, or even resting your fingertips on the mat to go ahead and stretch out that arm there. Breathing deep. Excellent. Let's inhale, bringing that head up to center once more. Let's turn ourselves this time to the left, dropping that chin down to the floor, using our left palm as a counterbalance to stretch out the back of our neck. Wonderful. Let's release that bind, freeing our hand, bringing our face back to center, exhaling our arms down to the sides or to the lap. That's next. We're going to just take our hands, interlacing them. Let's use them as we push gently underneath the chin, just stretching our neck back, dropping our head, opening up the front neck muscles here. Excellent. Let's release our hands and our neck, coming back to center. Let's inhale, sending our hands up overhead. Let's take our chin down to our chest, taking our hands palm over palm, gently nudging it down, further stretching out the back of that neck. Wonderful. From here, now let's release, bringing our hands either to the mat or to our knees. Words escape today. Let's just begin to slowly roll our shoulders back, up and back, loosening up that fascia, warming up the shoulders. Remember to keep your breath at its normal speed, normal cadence, allowing yourself to breathe, not forgetting to do so. Sometimes when you're working out or doing yoga, holding a pose, moving in a pose, you can forget to breathe, but keep breathing. Excellent. Let's slow ourselves down, coming back, reversing, going the opposite direction, warming up our shoulders. Very good. Keeping our shoulders nice and flexible. Let's slow ourselves down, coming into stillness. Let's inhale our arms up overhead. Exhale, let's drop that right arm down the back. Using the left palm, let's stretch that shoulder out, opening the arm, breathing into that stretch too. Excellent. Inhale, bringing that arm out to a T. Let's bring the right arm this time around the back, dropping it here, grabbing the wrist with the left arm. We're just going to breathe into that stretch. And you can drop your left ear to your left shoulder here too if you'd like to further stretch out the top of that fascia. Opening up all that fascia in our shoulders and our neck. Warming up our arms for class. Excellent. Let's inhale, bringing those arms out. Let's exhale, bringing the right arm around the front, using that palm of the left hand to further that stretch. Go ahead and turn your face to the right here, coming into a simple twist. Excellent. Let's exhale those arms back out to a T and then up overhead. Inhaling, let's exhale as we drop the left hand down the back, using our right palm to stretch out that shoulder, waking up the fascia lines. Excellent. Let's inhale, arms out to a T once more, sending the left arm behind the back this time, grabbing with the right hand, pulling on that wrist, dropping the right ear to the right shoulder, preserving that stretch. Excellent. Inhale, bring your arms out to a T. Excuse me. Exhaling, let's bring that left arm across the front of the body, using that right palm to further that stretch, twisting your face to the left if you'd like to extend. Wonderful. With a deep exhale, let's release, shaking out our hands. Going to warm up our wrists next here. Just relaxing your hands. Let's bring them out overhead or in front of us here. Inhaling, let's just grab the fingers of the right palm. Exhaling as we just hold it, pulling it back. Gently, of course. Should not be any pain here only with that wrist. Let's release, rolling our hand over to the other side. Exhale, pulling those fingers back once more. Wonderful. Let's take an exhale. Let's drop our hand down, gently pulling our wrist, pulling our hand back into us, stretching out that forearm here at the top. Let's flip ourselves around here, doing the same thing as we exhale, bringing the hand closer to us, stretching out our forearm in another way. Just warming up the wrist. Awesome. Let's release. Just wind it out a couple times. Do it the other way. Sometimes we forget to warm up our wrists, especially if we've been typing all day. It's nice to be able to use the hands. Excellent. Let's go to the other side. Let's inhale, dropping our fingertips. Let's stretch that left wrist this time. Breathing into the deep. Excellent. Release. Go ahead and flip the arm over. Let's do the same, pointing the fingers upright this time. Wonderful. Exhale and release. Dipping our hand down. Inhale. Exhale as you just push gently, gently stretching out that wrist. Excellent. Releasing here. Let's flip the arm over, stretching the same way. Alrighty, we're releasing here. Let's just go ahead and roll the wrist around, warming that wrist up. And then the other way. Feels good. As this won't be anything that focuses too much on the wrist, we won't have to worry about warming up our wrists as much, but we will start to warm up our ankles as we are working on the legs. So let's find ourselves here standing at the top of the mat. We're going to get into our sun cells. Let's start here, and also again with our alignment. Keep feet hip width apart, keeping your knees nice and soft. Let's make sure we're keeping ourselves evenly positioned over our heels, knees over the ankles. You want your pelvis and your hip bones over your knees, tilting that pelvis, coming into that neutral tilt. And then with our ribs, making sure they're not flared out, we're going to push our ribs down, keeping them situated over our hip bones. And then with our shoulders, same as before, rolling them up and back, sending the shoulder blades down the back of the body, keeping ourselves out and proud with our chest fully on display. Keeping our head tilted, shifted back so that our ears are directly over our shoulders and our chin is parallel to the floor, just as before. Let's get started. Inhale those hands, sending them up into the air. Let's exhale, forward fold. We come into our swan dive here. Let's hold here for just a moment. Relaxing, releasing. Let's slowly begin to warm up our ankles by just squatting down.
straightening. It's a gentle knee bend, bringing your fingertips to the floor to keep ourselves balanced, but just a gentle knee bend. Opening up, waking up our ankles here. Excellent. Let's bring ourselves slowly to stillness, placing our hands on the mat. Let's just take a step back, coming into our plank. Let's inhale and exhale as we come on down. Inhale up into our upward dog. Ooh. Let's curl our toes back as we exhale, coming into that downward dog. Let's walk out our feet, starting slowly, really pushing down when you push your heels down into the floor, into the mat. We're just going to use this opportunity to open up those ankles, open up those calves, begin the process of waking up our leg muscles so we can use them for this flow. Excellent. Doing well, slowing it down. Let's inhale, sending that right foot up into the air. Exhale, placing it down between the hands. Let's drop that back knee. Inhale, let's come on up into our low lunge here. And you don't have to make this lunge an incredibly crazy stretching lunge as we just got into here. We're just using this opportunity to slowly open up our legs. So let's just rotate that knee a little bit. Tiny circles, tiny circles. None of that flailing all about. We want to be able to just stay here. This opens up our ankles, opens up our knees. Lets that process of our hips know we're going to be working them today. So just gentle. It's okay if your foot lifts too. And let's slow it down. Let's bring our foot up and down off the mat here. Almost like we're applying pressure to our gas pedal. Let's slow ourselves down. Rotate the knee coming the other direction. Excellent. Let's slow ourselves down. Bring our hands to the mat. Let's straighten out that back leg. Bring the right foot back down to the mat. Exhale, let's come on down. Inhale, coming up into our upward dog. Let's curl those toes as we exhale, sending our hips up into the sky. Let's walk out those feet once more. Walking, walking, walking. Making sure we're keeping our core tight, keeping our body in that alignment, sending our shoulders down, keeping our shoulders up from our ears, even though we're upside down. Let's inhale, sending that foot up into the air, the left foot this time. Exhaling, placing it between the hands. Let's drop that knee, that right knee, coming up into our little lunge here. Remember, don't go so deep. It's all right to keep yourself in that easy lunge that we just started with. Let's bring those hands to the hips or as a counterbalance. Remember, let's start to open up that knee. Gentle circles. Just opening up our iliopsoas, our piriformis, our ankles, our toes. Slowing it down, let's start to gas pedal that foot this time. It's a little bit of a different feeling. Using your left foot, as we don't typically use our left foot to drive here, at least in America. But maybe you do, maybe you have a stick in your car. I don't know. Wonderful. Slowing it down, let's bring the knee to the other direction as well here. Just gentle. Just want to make sure we're opening up our legs. Let's slow ourselves down to center here, placing the hands back on the mat. Let's curl those toes. Take a step back. As an inhale, let's take an exhale, coming down. Let's bring ourselves up into our upward dog. Let's breathe here for a moment. Allowing our bodies to wake up, our spine to open up. Let's exhale, bringing ourselves to a tabletop. Let's begin to inhale, dropping our belly, arching our spine, looking up into the air, coming into cow pose. Take another inhale. Let's exhale, scooping that belly in, curling our back, dropping our face, coming into cat pose. Let's do this for 4 more breaths at your own cadence. So inhale, cow pose. Exhale, cat pose. And make sure you keep your shoulders down from your ears. 3 more breaths. Last one, taking a deep, 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 deep inhale, coming into that cow pose. Exhaling, emptying out that belly, hollowing out that core, pushing your hands into the floor. Excellent. Let's curl our toes, taking an inhale. Let's exhale as we push our hips up into the sky. Now let's walk our hands up to the front of the mat, or walk our feet up to the front of the mat, meeting our hands. Let's inhale halfway. Exhale, bringing those hands to the mat. Let's inhale, bringing those hands up once more. Exhale, coming into our peace pose, or our prayer hands. Wonderful. I'm just going to turn around to face you guys as we move to the next part of our warm-up here. Starting here, remember, keeping that good alignment, we're going to keep our feet hip-width apart. Inhale, let's bring our arms up, keeping our hands in that prayer pose. Let's exhale, bringing our body over to the left side, turning the face up and to the right here as we come into our banana laterals. Let's inhale, bringing ourselves up to standing. Exhale, dropping over to the right side, sending our face to the left as we open up that face. Let's inhale, bringing ourselves up to center as we take an exhale, taking a step over to the right side. Exhale, coming into our goddess pose. And let's hold here for a moment, moving our hips back and forth, waking up our hips, waking up our thighs, waking up our glutes, our core, our back muscles, playing with our balance. Let's open up that body, keeping our active dynamic movements going here. And you can get a little lower if you like, sticking your bottom out, maybe even doing a variation where you lean forward, opening up, warming up those cheeks, warming up the thighs and the knees, opening up that fascia, getting ready to go. Let's bring ourselves slowing back down, dropping those hips, coming back into that goddess pose. Let's turn that right foot to the right. And as we exhale, straightening out the legs, let's tilt the body, coming in to our pyramid pose. Now you can rest your hands on the floor, shortening a stance if you need to, of course. You can rest your hands on your floor, or on your ankle, or on your foot. Let's breathe here, turning our face up to the sky if it's within our practice. Keeping those hips, opening those hips, knowing we're about to use our legs. Let's inhale, curling our body back to the floor. Let's turn that left foot facing the same direction as the right, shortening your stance if you need to. Dropping your heads, using a block if you got them. Let's come into our pyramid pose here. This pose is great because we open up the left leg and we're also stretching out the right as well. Play with straightening or bending that front knee depending on your flexibility. Just keeping your hips squared to the floor and to the mat, pretending as if you have a marble at the top of your thighs here. Excellent. From here, let's take a deep breath. Let's place our hands on the mat, bending that front knee, stepping our left leg back, dropping it on the mat here. Let's come one more time into that low lunge. Let's see if you can push it a little bit further by seeing if you can come down into a lizard or just coming down a little bit lower. Opening up that body. Make sure you keep your shoulders away from your ears and tucking your hips without flaring out and not letting your back leg here open up. We want to keep ourselves in good alignment. Wonderful. Let's curl that toe back and once more, turning our foot to the front, both of our feet. Let's exhale, dropping our hip, dropping our leg, coming into a low side lunge or Skandasana. You can keep your hands on the floor for balance if you'd like here, or you can bring your hands up into prayer pose for balance as well. This is one of my favorite stretches. I love how it definitely opens up the hamstrings and the back of the knee. Make sure you keep your left foot engaged, flexing your feet, keeping that leg straight, unlocking the knee, but keeping it nice and firm. Excellent. From here, let's place that foot back down on the mat, turning it inward. Inhale, bring our hips up to the sky. Let's shorten our stance if we need to. Exhale, coming into our Malasana, dropping that tail right down on the floor. Now, for today, as we are going into a dynamic movement flow, if you find yourself becoming a little winded or you want to take a little bit of a break, drop down into our Malasana here. And if you have a block or a brick, you can place it under your hips to sit on, coming into rest. No shame in stopping. Excellent. Inhale, bringing those hands down to the mat once more, sending our hips up into the sky. Let's exhale, dropping ourselves this time over to the left, peeling that right foot off the mat, flexing those feet, stretching out the right leg this time, coming into that Skandasana on the left. Opening up our hamstrings, our quadriceps a little bit, back of our knees and the tendons there. Opening up the fascia, cracking the toes if needed. Excellent. Now taking a deep breath, let's drop that foot, turning ourselves this time to the left. Just drop that right knee down, coming up into that low lunge. And if it's within your practice, let's see if we can drop down a little further into our lower lunge, coming into a lizard. I'm going to face you guys here so you can see what I'm looking like. I just have my hands right next to my feet, dropping my leg out long, coming into a lizard, keeping my shoulders back, keeping my hips squared to the mat. Wonderful. Excellent. Let's straighten that right leg, in the back there as we come up, bringing our stance together, shortening our legs, coming into that pyramid pose. Remember to keep your hips square to the floor. Don't lock your knees. Using a block or a book if you have one, maybe even coming up halfway if bending over isn't in your practice today, but let's hold our pyramid pose here. Excellent. From here, let's turn our right foot out to the center, keeping our left hand on the floor. Inhale, and as we exhale, let's open up our body, coming into our pyramid pose on the left. And go ahead and balance yourself on the mat or on your ankle or using a block. Turning your face to the sky if it is within your practice this evening. Excellent. I love this pose because I can always feel this leg start to loosen as my hips open more and more. Wonderful. On an inhale, let's turn that foot, both feet now facing the sky. Let's inhale, coming up. Exhale, coming into our goddess pose. Moving our body around just once more. Relaxing, let's inhale, bringing our hands, coming into center, back into peace. Prayer hands. Feels good. I hope your legs feel ready to go because mine certainly do. Let's find ourselves back down on the mat. We're going to come into our plank pose here. And for this evening, you're more than welcome to bring your knees down onto the mat if that is how you would prefer to do your plank. We're going to go into a plank Malasana flow. So we're going to be from here, walking up, coming into a squat, back up, and out, coming into a plank. And we're going to do that with our flow for 10 breaths here. Remember, if you need a moment or if you need a break, go ahead and hold yourself in your Malasana for a moment or even your knee down plank. So let's get ourselves well established here, using our hands to grip the mat, keeping our feet curled. Let's inhale, coming up to our plank. Let's start our flow. Plank. And that was one. Inhale, hands down. Exhale into your position. Inhale, bringing the body up. Exhaling into your position. That brings us up to 3. And if you'd like, you want to add a little bit more fun to that, drop into your plank, jump into your Malasana, jump into your plank, jump into your Malasana. We have 3 more to go. 2 more. Last one. Here we go. Drop into the plank, coming up into our Malasana. That was fun. Let's bring ourselves coming into our plank, which is a resting pose, dropping the knees if it is within your practice tonight. Let's hold here, catching our breath. 5 breaths. Two more breaths. Holding this pose, returning ourselves back to stillness. Excellent. Last breath. Wonderful. Our next pose is going to be a side plank. So taking an inhale. If you'd like to drop your knee, as I have mine on the right on the floor here, taking a deep exhale. Inhale. Let's exhale, turning ourselves to face the front. Bring our left hand in the sky, coming into that side plank.
And for our side plank, let's keep our hand underneath our shoulder, supporting our body here, as we're going to make this an active side plank. So for side plank, lifted to the sky, we're just going to inhale that flexed foot up into the sky, exhale, bringing it down. Remember, this is our leg flow. We're going to be doing this for 8 more breaths. Inhale up, exhale down. And you can certainly do this standing as well. I like to do this way, just to keep my balance. 5 more. 3 more. 2 more, inhaling, exhale. Last one, inhale, exhale. Excellent. Let's come down here. Coming into our, actually, it's probably a better way to come to the other side, but let's just come to the other side. Coming into our side plank, this time keeping that left knee down if you'd like. Inhale, let's bring ourselves open as we come into our side plank with our right leg on the top. Remember, we're going to keep our plank, our hand underneath our shoulder here, holding that core in nice and tight. And you can even keep your feet open and long if you'd like to do that. But let's 10 breaths using our leg. Let's do our leg lifts. Let's inhale up, keeping our feet stretched, or our feet flexed, and holding our body good and strong. You don't want to relax anywhere here, keeping our core engaged. We want to use this to lift up our leg, but also to keep it controlled as it comes down. 5 more leg lifts. Go. 3 more to go. And you don't want to bend yourself in the middle here. Keep yourself nice and engaged. 2 more. Excellent. Last one, lifting, lifting, lifting. Squeeze that cheek. Exhale, bringing it down to the mat. Let's take an inhale, turning ourselves back to the mat, coming to that tabletop. Let's exhale, coming in to a child's pose here. And go ahead and stack your hand palm under palm. Palm over palm, excuse me. We're going to hold here for 5 breaths, as I think we deserve it. Let's hold here. And if you'd like, you can also move your legs open to a wide legs child pose if you're feeling it in your hips. 3 more breaths. Wonderful. Let's inhale. Bringing ourselves back to consciousness, coming up into our tabletop, keeping our knees under here together. I'm going to turn myself around so we can keep ourselves on the same side here. But let's curl those toes, exhaling, coming up into that downward dog. And from before, let's inhale, sending our right foot up into the sky. Let's exhale as we drop our foot in between our hands. Let's inhale, bringing our hands up, coming into our warrior one. Now, this is going to be an active warrior one, as we're going to be doing, what are they called? Split squats? Split squats. My husband's a trainer. I have to ask him. But we're going to hold our hands up. And if you have weights, go ahead and use them. If not, you don't even need them. We're going to hold ourselves into doing our 10 split squats. One on our active warrior, split squats on the right, active warrior, split squats on the left. So getting ourselves into position, taking an inhale. Let's exhale. And that's 1. Inhale. The point of this is not to go fast. You want to control yourself as you come down, really focusing on your alignment, keeping the knee from going over the toes in the same direction. Let's do this for 5 more times. You don't want to have your back knee hitting the floor. You're just enough to get that burn. And this is 3 more. 2 more, not locking out the knee as we're coming up, keeping that back foot flexed. Last one. Coming down is that warrior one. Exhale, coming straight. Oh, wonderful. Let's take an inhale, bringing ourselves back to the mat. Let's turn ourselves, bringing the feet width in a fun way, transitioning over to the left side. Let's inhale, bringing our hands up, coming into that warrior one. Holding here for a moment, checking our alignment, making sure we're not going to send our knee over our toes. Head straight up, keeping our hips tucked. Let's take an inhale, and as we exhale, down for 1, 2, doing good, guys. 3, remember, don't hit that back knee on the floor. You want to keep your knee from going over your toes and your knee to go in the same direction. That was number 5. We're halfway done. Keeping that glute squeezed as you come up. It actually really helps you to bring yourself up here. 3 more to go. 2 more to go. Last one, squeezing all the way up. Coming up. Let's drop our arms down, dropping our foot. Woo, heel toe ourselves together. Let's inhale those hands up and safely come down to the mat, bringing ourselves down into Varasana or Hero's Pose. Let's sit here with our hands in prayer, or you can hold it in the mudra of power. Catching our breath, relaxing. Let's inhale those hands up. Exhale, turning over to the right side, coming to a short twist here, a twist series to allow our breath to catch. Inhale, let's come over, twisting to the left. Bringing ourselves back to Varasana, coming into prayer hands. Very good. Let's find ourselves coming into tabletop once more as we come into our tiger pose. And a lot of you know this from a lot of fitness classes as a fire hydrant lift, but we're just going to hold ourselves into our tiger pose. And you have 2 options for this. You can either active lifting your legs, or you can just hold your leg to the side. But to key into this pose, let's keep our hands underneath our elbows underneath our shoulders. Spinning the arms so that the inside of our arms, our elbows facing out, gripping the mat with our palms, ensuring that all of our palm is spread out, our fingers are spread to the mat. Gripping with our fingers. Let's keep our knees hip width apart. You may curl your toes, you may keep them flat, but let's keep our head flat or our back flat, keeping our head at that neutral. We're going to inhale, shifting our weight over to our right side because we're going to start with our left leg. Shifting over to the right. Let's inhale that left leg up, keeping it parallel with our body. Exhale, bringing it down. Let's do this variation here for 10 breaths. If you'd like to just hold your leg, just hold it here for 10 breaths. It's going to be about a minute of holding up if you'd like. It's what 10 breaths generally works out to do. So if you ever see me here saying, oh, we have 10 breaths and you don't hear me counting, that's because I have a clock and I'm keeping track of the time. Now, as we do these leg lifts, you want to keep yourself balanced on your right side, keeping that leg parallel to the mat. We're just going to slowly open up here. And with future classes as we go along, I will introduce, if you would like to use any kind of bands, that's perfectly well. This is still an effective workout without the bands. Let's come up on our last one. Squeezing that glute. Let's exhale, bringing that glute to the floor. Let's send our hips down, relaxing them just for a moment here. Holding in a variation of a child's pose, extended hands out in front of us. Who knew that yoga could make you sweat so much, right? Let's inhale, coming back up into our tabletop. So I like to keep the hands where they are so I don't have to worry about ever readjusting them. Taking that same leg, of course, now I move my hand. Taking that same leg, let's extend it out behind us, that left leg. And we're just going to come into rear leg lifts here. Now, squeezing that glute as you bring your leg up, you want to keep it parallel, but keep your foot flexed and down towards the floor. We're just going to inhale, coming up. Don't bend your back. Exhale, bring it down. Keep it slow and controlled. Bringing that hip up from the floor, keeping our hips square to the mat. Squeeze as you come up. Relax as you come down. Squeeze those legs. Keeping the legs straight, because remember, if you bend it, that's when we start to work our glute. Right now, we're just focusing on those leg muscles. Excellent. We have 2 more here. 1 and 2. Let's bring ourselves back down once more.
coming into that extended arm child's pose. I'm just going to rotate around for your benefit so you can see my leg on the other side, but we're going to repeat the same on the right here. I like to move around a little bit to open up those hip muscles too, because you feel it right here. Excellent. Let's slow ourselves down, coming back into that tabletop. Let's get ready for our tiger leg lifts. Shifting our weight to the left side, keeping ourselves balanced. Let's inhale that left foot or that right leg up this time, flexing that foot, exhaling down. Coming into our leg lifts. Remember, you may hold it up or you may leg lift. Up to you. Squeezing your glute as you come up here. Keeps your body balanced. Keeps you from falling. Make sure you keep that hip and that knee parallel. I have the benefit of being able to see myself on camera here. Keep it parallel. You don't want to lift with your knee or lift with your foot too much. You want to keep them equal. Awesome. Let's go into 3 more. 2. Excellent. Last one here. Let's come back. Rotate those hips out side to side. Very good. We're almost getting to the end, guys. How do you feel? I know my legs are going to look sculpted tomorrow. Let's come back up into our tabletop, extending that right leg out, getting ready for those rear leg lifts. Remember, if you want to keep it up, keep it parallel, flex the foot, holding there for a minute. If not, let's do this. Inhale up, squeeze the cheek. Exhale, controlled, coming down. Here we go. Keep it controlled. Keep it slow paced. 5 more. 3 more to go. 2 more. 1 more. Last one. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Exhale. Release. Oh, come down into that child's pose. Maybe bringing your arms around, coming into a rabbit's pose, dropping the chest to the mat, hips in the air. Let's shake our bunny tails. Releasing that tension in the hips that we built out. Doing good. Excellent. Let's bring our hands underneath our shoulders. Exhale. Let's come up into our tabletop once more. And pressing up, let's find ourselves coming into standard once again. Meeting here in Skandasana or mountain pose. Keeping our feet hip width apart, hands open and wide. From here, let's work on our active chair, coming into a few squats. We're just going to inhale, bringing those hands up overhead. Let's exhale, coming into a chair pose. And when you come into your chair pose, you want to send your bottom out as if you're sitting down in a chair. Keeping the hips back, keeping your chest open, keeping your tilt from going all the way like you're ducking. So there you are. So coming into this pose, let's inhale, exhale into our chair. And if you'd like to hold your chair here, go right ahead. If not, let's inhale, keeping it active. You don't have to go fast. I'm timing us here for the amount of breaths. It's 10 breaths if you want to keep it at your own pace. But we're just coming into our active chair. Five more to go. Keeping those knees bound without going beyond the toes. Pointing the knees in the same direction as the toes. 2 more. And 3. Excellent. Let's stand here, keeping our arms up here. We're just going to inhale, bending from the hips. Let's send that right foot back as we're coming back. Slowly but surely, keeping your left leg firmly established on the mat. Engaging that left leg, bending if you need to. Let's come here into our warrior 3. Breathing in, keeping our hips square to the mat. And again, bending that knee as necessary. As you see, I'm the yoga teacher and I'm doing it. Bend that knee. Let's keep ourselves balanced here. Holding, feeling that muscle engage in the left leg. Let's hold here for 1 more breath. And as we inhale, let's slowly straighten, dropping that right leg down, coming to the mat. Exhaling, coming back into our Tadasana, or into our tree pose with open hands. I'm going to turn around to the left side to establish for you guys. But again, actually, I guess I could keep myself here so you can see me just fine. Establishing, holding your roots firm. Let's inhale, shifting our weight to the right leg this time, sending our left leg back, bending from the hips, coming into our warrior three, keeping ourselves balanced, keeping those hips square to the mat, flexing that left foot that's now extended. Let's hold here, really feeling those muscles, using our legs muscles for the last time in this flow. Exhaling, let's slowly begin to bring that foot down to the mat, bringing your body up as a cantilever, coming back in. Let's release our arms, shaking them out. How do your legs feel? Mine feel a bit like Jello, but that's good because that means we've used our leg muscles. Let's inhale, sending the hands up to the sky again. Let's widen our stance. And as we exhale, bring our arms, our fingers and hands into peace, coming down into Malasana. For just a moment, let's use our hands, exhaling, finding ourselves seated on the mat. Let's bring our feet into Baddha Konasana, into our butterfly pose. Grabbing our ankles, let's gently just wiggle out our legs. Taking an inhale, opening up our chest. Let's exhale, bowing forward. Grabbing our feet, catching our breath. And you want to bend coming out of your hips. Excellent. Let's inhale, sending ourselves back up into seated. Let's exhale as we open up our legs, helping them coming to the side, coming into our Dragonfly Pose. And if it's not within your practice tonight, go ahead and pop your legs up if it's really uncomfortable keeping your legs straight out to the floor. From here, we're going to inhale, sending our right arm into our lap. Let's exhale, bringing our left hand this time over to the knee, flexing our feet, turning our face up to the sky as we come to a Dragonfly Stretch to the right. Excellent flow today, everyone. Felt really good. Let's inhale, bringing our arms out to a T, sending our left arm to our lap as we exhale the right arm over, coming to that Dragonfly Stretch to the left. Remember to keep your feet active and engaged, opening ourselves up here. Excellent. Let's inhale, coming back into T pose. Let's bring our legs together into the front of the mat, sending our arms up into the sky. Let's exhale, bending forward, grabbing our feet, coming into our caterpillar pose. Keep your shoulders from hunching over. Make sure that you're bending from your hip and not your shoulders, grabbing onto your ankle if it's better for your alignment. I'm talking to myself when I say these things, of course. Doing well. Let's take an inhale, coming back up into our caterpillar pose. Let's bring our feet to the mat, scooch our bottoms forward, exhale as we come back down, laying, keeping our arms beside us. Scooch our heels closest to our bum. We're going to just go ahead and take a bridge pose here as we inhale, lifting our pelvis off of the mat, curling our spine, coming up into that bridge pose. Let's hold here for just a moment, keeping our knees together, tracking them straight out. You don't want to open your legs, keeping your hips from dropping. Take a deep inhale, and let's exhale, sending ourselves back to the mat. Spine first, allowing your hips to touch the mat last. Very good. Let's inhale our knees to our chest and turning them to the left. Let's exhale, dropping our knees to the left side, coming into cat pulling tail. And go ahead and grab your right ankle if it's within your practice to stretch that right leg behind you, opening up those quadriceps here. Wonderful. Let's inhale those knees up to the chest once more, turning them to the right, grabbing that left ankle if you can. Let's drop our knees to the right side, coming into cat pulling tail on the left. Stretching out that quadricep on the left leg this time. And let's inhale, sending our knees once more to our chest. Let's grab the inside at our cat or arch, on the outside of our foot or even our toes here. Exhale, let's find ourselves coming into happy baby. Stretching out our hips for one last time before we come into our Shavasana. And really allow yourselves and your legs to stretch open. Did a lot of work today with the legs, so delayed onset muscle soreness is a thing, and you may feel it tomorrow. I do apologize. Sorry, not sorry. Let's take an inhale as we bring ourselves close together in what I like to call a cannonball pose. Exhaling, releasing the arms and the legs, stretching your body, and any final movements that might help you relax or release any tension, rotating your ankles, rotating your wrists, taking a deep breath, and as we exhale, bringing our hands to our sides, dropping our feet open, coming into our Shavasana. Let's take one more deep inhale through our nose, exhaling through the mouth. Let's flutter our eyes shut as we come to the end of our practice this evening. Let's allow ourselves to take this last final 10 minutes to ourselves, regrounding, thanking the body for moving us through this challenging flow this evening. And before we come out of our Shavasana this evening, I would like to read for you a passage from the Daily Stoic. Today's topic is Find Yourself a Cato. It reads, we can remove most sins if we have a witness standing by as we are about to go wrong. The soul should have someone it can respect, by whose example it can make inner sanctum more invaluable. Happy is the person who can improve others, not only when present, but even when in their thoughts. Seneca. Cato the Younger, a Roman politician best known for his self-discipline and for his heroic defense of the Republic against Julius Caesar, Cato, appears constantly throughout Stoic literature, which is interesting because he didn't write anything down. He taught no classes. He gave no interviews. His bold and brave example is what made him such a commonly cited and quoted philosopher. Seneca tells us that we should each have our own Cato, a great and noble person we can allow into our minds and use to guide our actions, even when they're not physically present. The economist Adam Smith had a similar concept, which he called the indifferent spectator. It doesn't have to be an actual person, just someone who, like Seneca said, can stand witness to our behavior. Someone who can quietly admonish us if we're considering doing something lazy, dishonest, or selfish. And if we do it right and live our lives in such a way, perhaps we can serve as someone else's Cato or a different spectator when they need it. Excellent food for thought. And with that, I invite you to bring movement into your body by wiggling your toes, wiggling your fingers. Go ahead and roll your shoulders, rubble out your wrists, rotate those ankles, move your body in any way you may need to introduce physical movements to that body. It's taking a deep breath. Let's roll over to one side or the other. And as we exhale, let's cradle that arm, our head into our arm there for a moment. Breathing here for just a second. Letting these last few moments of that indulgent rest just take over before you have to come up and meet the world once more. Excellent. And if you can, let's inhale, keeping your eyes closed. Push yourself up, coming into seated, allowing your eyes to stay shut if that is within your practice. Let's find yourself seated here with your hands on our lap just for one moment, getting ourselves adjusted, slowly allowing that physicality and physical awareness to come over that body. Let's inhale, bringing our hands up to the sky. Let's exhale, bringing them down in prayer. Flutter your eyes open if you already haven't. Thank you, everyone, once again for joining me this evening in Asana Sana Strength. I hope you feel super strong in your lower body as we worked out those legs today in our active dynamic movement flow. As always, be the light that you wish to see in the world. See the light that you wish to see in the world, because I guarantee you it's there. I will send you all off for your evening with an Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. See you guys next week at 5 o'clock Wednesday here in the Asana Sana Yoga studio for Asana Sana Strength. Have a good night, everybody.